Hey, what's up, family? Welcome to another installment of Metaphysics on Your Mind. Um, on this particular installment, I thought it would be interesting to explore the concept of good and evil. We all have quite a bit of experience with the application of both concepts. But in the context of the Bible and the context of the idea of God, so on and so forth, I thought, it'd be kind of cool to take a quick, just, maybe not a snapshot, but, let's take a little look at this concept of, good and evil and so on and so forth. So, let's see. So we've got good and evil. Interesting, if you look at evil and you go backwards, it's live. Flip it this way, it's evil. But okay, so our concept of God, it would appear, at least in the West, God is really just the word good with an O missing, right? With an O out of it. And of course, God's nemesis is, we think of as, evil, put a D in front of it, devil, right? So the concept or idea of good and the concept or idea of evil, with the addition or the subtraction of an O here and the addition of a D here, becomes a personality, okay? So we go from a concept to a personality, God and the devil, the good guy and the bad guy. So many people, or many of us, looked at these two concepts or personality as diametrically opposed, right? You wanted to be in good standing over here, and you had to watch out over here because this guy was against this guy. Okay, let's take a look at a few verses. This first one is Isaiah 45, chapter 45, verse 5 through 8. Since again we have this concept that there's like a personality here, and so 45, 5 through 8. I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west. Sun rises in the east, okay? So from the rising of the sun and from the west, from the spiritual side in the east to the intellectual side in the west, okay? That they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Drop down, ye heavens, from above, and let the skies pour down righteousness. Let the earth open, and let them bring forth salvation, and let righteousness spring up together. I, the Lord, have created it. So in verse 7, God says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So, and this is a question. It's not necessarily going to say anything that I would propose as definitive, but that verse, those verses, said that there is only one God. And this God, the only one, does both of these things. That's what it says. So, is there one God that's a good God and another semi-God or demigod that's the not good guy? Is that what the case is? We're just asking a question. Or is it more along the line, and we're going to explore this further in later installations, but we just thought this would be good to just for your consideration as we move forward. Is this concept really more like or in other words, we think in pairs of opposites, good and bad. Electricity, which is composed of positive and negative, okay? Electricity is one power. It's basically neutral because electricity will allow you to power up a home, or if you don't know how to handle electricity, you can get yourself electrocuted and everybody else in the vicinity. Because the power is the same, but it is the application of the power that determines whether it is good or evil. So in other words, if I use nuclear fission to create nuclear power and I know how to control it, and it gives electricity to a city and so on and so forth. Or I can take it, put it in an atomic bomb and blow up 100,000 people. But it's the same power. It's still nuclear fission. It's still electricity. Okay? So again, the question is, are we talking about two different entities? Or are we talking about one entity that in our duality and with the power of choice? Remember, we were given the power of choice, which means that we can give it an intent to electricity. We can give it an intent to nuclear fission. Okay? We have the power of choice. But the power itself is the same, is it not? Just a question. Let me read another verse. Let's go to, this is interesting. Job 1, or actually Job 2, 1 through 7. Let's go to Job 1, go to Job 2, 1 through 7, and see, what else we can kind of glean from this concept that we have about good and evil. Okay. Okay, here we go. So Job 2, and which verses are they? 1 through 7. Okay, and basically, for the people that, are familiar with the story of Job, there's a section of the story where God and the sons of God are in an assembly. And the assembly concerns a human, Job. Okay? And this is Job 2, verse 1 through 7. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, From whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, and the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil, rejects evil. And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. And Satan answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. So this is Satan saying to God, you take away all the good things that you give him, all the favor, and then he's going to turn on you. Job would. And the last verse, and the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. And so Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. Now there's a lot in there that we could go into in its own installment, but the point is, there seems to have been an idea, or seems to be an idea, that Satan, which I proposed in prior installments, is a play on Saturn. Okay? Remember we said, and we'll go into this further on, that Saturn is referenced as the Lord of Time and the Lord of Karma. Very important character, Saturn. Play on Saturn is this character, right? And this character's name means what? Just means he's the adversary. Okay? So in that scenario we just read, there didn't seem to be a problem between God and Satan, as many people refer to Satan as the devil and so on and so forth. But all the angels and the gods gather together, or all the gods, I should say, and Satan's included. And there didn't seem to be anything weird about it. And God starts asking Satan questions. Hey, where you been? What you been doing? Okay? So it's something to ponder. The idea that we have that there is a absolute good or an absolute evil, or is there really just one power, and the intent, the positive or the negative intent, that we suffuse these thoughts and ideas with power? Maybe that's what the real story is, because the power is one. We read the verse that said so. There's only one. Okay? And it operates through other living, or you want to say celestial or whatever beings, this being one of them who has a role as an adversary. He's the one who tests you. You think you've learned a principle? You think you're a good person? You think you got a great heart? You think you're a good Samaritan? He's going to find out. And he works for. Okay? One last verse. and we're finished. Let's go to Luke 11:23 through 26. We're not going to do a whole lot on this, but let's just read it. 11:23 through 26. He that is not with me, and of course this is the Christ in the Gospels. Okay. He that is not with me is against me, and he that gathereth not with me scattereth. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places seeking rest, and finding none. He saith, I will return unto my house whence I came out. And when he cometh, he findeth it swept and garnished. Then goeth he and taketh to him 7 other spirits, more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. So what that's saying is when an unclean spirit goes out of a person, and what's an unclean spirit? Negative thought. Negative thoughts about someone else, wanting to do something negative to someone else, wishing harm on someone else. Remember, thoughts become things. So what this thing is saying is that when that unclean spirit, when that thought leaves, if it doesn't find a place to land, if it doesn't find a receptor, what does it do? It turns around and comes back as a return to sender. But with 7 times the unclean spirit once it returns. So that's why we're told to be careful about our thoughts, be careful about our projections. Okay? I'll leave it with that. And once again, peace. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at the next installment.